Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
Week's edition of World Crisis Radio. This is Webster Tarpley speaking from Washington, D.C. Stay tuned. Later in the program, we'll have confirmation on the cadre course on the political economy of the American system. But first, let's look at the French political situation now. This, as we're recording in the afternoon of Friday, the 9th of January, we've just had the liquidation of all of the patsies, all of the suspects in this case. Patsies all liquidated. I would like to point out that I had broadcast on Twitter at about 7 o'clock this morning, several hours before it occurred. France, the Charlie Hebdo suspects have been reported cornered, but the MO, the modus operandi of the police, is to liquidate the suspects to avoid embarrassing interrogations, as in the case of Mohamed Merah in 2012, in the springtime of 2012, almost 3 years ago. And sure enough, all patsies have now been liquidated, and we'll get into why liquidated. But let's get into the why of this entire question and look for it in a somewhat unusual but fairly obvious area. This is not terrorism about freedom of expression or anything of the sort. This is not the revenge of the Muslim fanatics. This is geopolitical terrorism. It's cleverly disguised, has duped a whole lot of people, but it is geopolitical terrorism. And what I mean by that is, you'll remember there were, 35 attempts to kill General de Gaulle of France because he insisted on the independence and the dignity and the war avoidance policies of France. He did not want to become the battlefield of a limited nuclear war. He made sure that there would be no limited nuclear war and saved France in the process. He was therefore targeted by, in effect, the NATO establishment with dozens and dozens of assassination attempts. And something similar can be said of the Aldo Moro case in Italy in 1978. He was somebody who wanted to bring the Italian Communist Party into the government, and that would have led to the overcoming of the blocs, the Alta division of Europe, and that would have ended the Cold War about 10 or 12 years earlier than it actually happened. Geopolitical terrorism designed to enforce, first of all, the division of Europe into the two rival military blocs, Warsaw Pact and NATO, and since about 25 years ago, it's a one-way street. It's only to assert U.S., British, NATO, CIA control, Wall Street control, City of London control over continental Europe in most cases. Now, let's look at the immediate prelude to the Charlie Hebdo. And that is the interview, the New Year's interview. This is a very important, major statement by President François Hollande on the Monday of this week. That is to say, on Monday the 5th of January, 48 hours before the Patsy killers broke in to the office of Charlie Hebdo, we have this interview, and this is a very important interview, which has, of course, gotten lost in the hysteria now. So what does he say? It's a 2-hour interview. It's basically saying, this is my agenda. It's kind of like a State of the Union address by François Hollande. And we'll talk about his personal predicament in just a minute. An unprecedented 2-hour interview for his economic policies, but also for foreign policy issues. And here's what he said. Hollande is talking. He says, Russian President Putin does not want to annex eastern Ukraine. He has assured me of that. And he went on to say that the Western sanctions against Russia, allegedly based on the situation in Crimea and Donetsk and Lugansk, those sanctions should be lifted if progress is attained in resolving the Ukrainian crisis. Quote from the President of France, I think the sanctions must stop now. Let me repeat that for you. The President of France categorically states, the sanctions must stop now. The noise you hear in the background is the collapse of the U.S. British sanctions regime against Russia. I think the sanctions must stop now. They must be lifted if there is any progress. If there is no progress, the sanctions will remain. But he thinks that progress can be attained. It's within reach. And he goes on to say, quote, Mr. Putin does not want to annex eastern Ukraine. Monsieur Putin does not want to annex eastern Ukraine. He has told me that. What he wants is to remain influential. What he wants is for Ukraine not to fall into the NATO camp. And Hollande struck an optimistic note ahead of a conference, not much talked about here, on January 15th, that is to say in next week, middle of next week, specifically the 15th is next Thursday, there will be this conference in Kazakhstan, in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan. And there, Hollande wants to attend that meeting. The basis of the meeting is President Putin of Russia, President Poroshenko of Ukraine, that's the one we call Pornoshenko on this broadcast. So Putin and Pornoshenko will be there, but the leaders of France and Germany are also expected to attend the meeting. That means Merkel and Hollande. And Hollande says, I will go to Astana on January 15th on one condition, which is that there should be a possibility of making new progress. If it's just to meet and talk without making any actual advances, then there's no point to that. But I think there will be progress. And never too far from his considerations, the article on this on France 24, France 24, they say they head to this, and that those sanctions include 2 large amphibious assault ships, 2 Mistral-class warships, which the French are building, and which should have been delivered to Russia already. This is a 1.2 billion euro deal. This has been delayed. The delivery has been delayed until further notice, and France could lose thousands of jobs, international credibility, and face even a fine under international agreements. And of course, everybody knows that France does not have any interest in these reckless, irresponsible, incompetent, crackpot sanctions in favor of the Kiev fascist clique, we may add. And it's only done because of the strong-arm pressure of Kerry and these other people. By the way, Kerry, you got to hear Kerry speak French this week, and it's nothing to write home about. If you have a chateau in Brittany, you better speak French better than this vacuous, blasé, ruling class, skull and bones character, Kerry. Now, a couple of other things in this interview that are designed to freak out London and Washington. Hollande says France will not intervene militarily in Libya, and he's on the whole rather relaxed about Greece. He says, Greece, yeah, they're free to choose. These are unacceptable positions. Could there be a link between this interview and the event?
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with sex. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-630-3973. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-630-3973. That's 1-800-630-7973. Call 1-800-630-3973.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit GoBerkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products. Most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey guy at GoBerkey.com. And be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of the Berkey guy.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts, fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit AncientDefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's AncientDefense.com.
Not just an alternative to the mainstream media. We're the premier independent talk radio network. We are G.
Tarpley in Washington, D.C. It's the 9th of January. Now, we're going to get back to Hollande's landmark interview to France Inter, right? France